Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom, shalom. Shalom. Yeah, get my highlighter. Look at this shit, man. Look at this. Get into it. I'm trying to make sure I get back into reading so I can become better. And man, some of this is long for me, man. Some of this stuff is long for me. But we're going to keep on rocking. We're going to keep on going. Let's say with chapter 10. Next up, chapter 10. Sexuality and relationships. Sexuality and relationships. Man, like, comment, subscribe. If there's anything, any other books y'all want read, please leave me a comment. Let me know what it is, or anything you think I should read, let me know. And I'll see what's up. Go check out Miss Shahrazad Ali for her books. You can get them off of eBay or I think Amazon or whatever if you wanna grab some of them on your own. She has 6 in total, as far as I know. So chapter 10, man, sexuality. Chapter 10 of the Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. Let me see, pen, paper. You might need the Scrabble dictionary. Sexuality and relationships. The social status of Black men in American society, is neither a new issue nor one that is fully settled. The Black man's ideas, goals, worth, and sexual practices are subjects studied or presented with the before we all the way into this. Very long, so it's probably going to be 2 parts. It's probably going to be a part 1 and a part 2. So I should have put that on Facebook. But we'll try. We'll see how far we can get through it. We'll see how far we can get through it. But look out for, part 2s, of part 1 and a part 2, at least for the last 3 chapters. All right, my bad. Sexuality and relationships. Presented with the least objectivity. These days they finish last in every socioeconomic scale, from child abuse to life expectancy. The general worsening quality of inmate life of Black men has detrimentally affected their mental capacities. The Black man needs a woman to be happy. The female presence completes his life cycle. The Black man is not created without aim and purpose. He has 3 major accomplishments he should be about the business of acquiring. They are, number 1, a knowledge of himself, his history, and his God. I like that she put that number 1. Number 1, a knowledge of himself, his history, and his God. Today, most of them are very, very far from attaining these goals. Over the years, much has happened to influence his attitudes and behaviors. All studies show that of the top 10 men, the top 10 causes of death among African Americans, every affliction kills more Black men than Black women. This is interesting and is considered to be attributed to what Black men do and how they act plots. It hasn't mattered, as they live in a society where the death of a Black woman is perceived as he is generally thought of as the perpetrator due to his demeaned image as being unscrupulous and exploitive. What's up? Mostly of Black women. This is not to say that all Black men conduct themselves in a negative way with females, but they have grown quite used to blaming women for their overall conditions. It has become my bad, sorry, lost my place. It has become simple with this kind of defective logic for him to blame his unacceptable behavior on uncontrollable urges brought on by racism. This call relieves him of any moral obligation. Hey, man, calm yourself down. Climb up on the stump. Climb up on the stump first. Get up there on the stump, then get up there on the sofa. Man, I know you hear me talking to you. You get up on the stump, and then get up on the. Get your butt up there, girl. And stop playing around. You're playing around. Okay, look at the book with DJ. Calm yourself down. Hey. Take a breath. Deep breath. Come on. In and out. In and out. Calm yourself down. There's no reason for you to whine or cry right now. You can look at the book right there with your brother. All right? All right. All right. Let's finish this. Hey. It has become a habit for him to complain, the white man won't let me because I'm black. It has become simple with this kind of defective logic for him to blame his unacceptable behavior or uncontrollable urges brought on by racism. This call relieves him of any moral obligation to exercise self-discipline, restraint, or explanation for his actions. He has all sorts of charges leveled against him by black women. He's too slow. He's too fast. He's undependable. He lies too much. He is guilty of multiple sexual infidelities. He beats his women and his children unwarranted. He won't work. He blows all his money, stays up too late, forgets things, won't admit when he's wrong, and the long-term disagreements. And studies prove that their value system is different on different topics. It never ceases to amaze him how he can be going along his merry way thinking everything's fine, and then his woman lowers the boom and lets him know that something is drastically wrong. And he should have known it. Additionally to his abstract attitude about many things in his inmate relationship, he is charged with having poor impulse control. He'll have sex with anything that moves. He'll have sex with anything that moves. I got it, son. Yes, sir, I got it, son. Thank you. Put the fan on. Put the fan on. Yeah, let's put the fan on. Yeah. So we can read. Yeah, so I can read in the cool out. Yeah, in the cool out. All right. Shalom, Frank. All right, let's finish. I'm gonna start on. He has all sorts of charges leveled against him by black women. He is too slow. He's too fast. He's undependable. He lies too much. Black men and black women decidedly have some pretty serious long-term disagreements. And studies prove that their value system is different on different topics. It never ceases to amaze him how he can be going along his merry way thinking everything's fine, and then his woman lowers the boom and lets him know that something is drastically wrong. And he should have known it. Additional to his abstract attitude about many things in his inmate relationship, he is charged with having poor impulse control. He'll have sex with anything that moves. And he keeps going for the okie doke from women. Whereas his grandfather had 5 options regarding how he decided to deal with his women or his woman. His father had maybe 10, but today he has possibly 50. It has become an overwhelming process these days in trying to select, date, marry, and live with a black woman. Being a sportsman, he has taken to ducking and dodging as the best way to wade through the murky water surrounding black women of the 90s. It's safe to say that he doesn't know quite what to do to be accepted or confident in his dealings with females. The pressure of this predicament leads him to deception and irresponsibility in his personal affairs. A lot of his confusion today results from his choices in the 60s. At that time, starting at about 1957, white Americans participated voluntarily in changing their lifestyles in the home with their mates, on the job, and in the world at large. The black man, filled with the fervor of desegregation and social integration, tried to emulate them, except he was not in the same stage or status as whites. The 60s produced the idea of self-fulfillment and individual choice. To the previously denied black man, this meant acquiring material goods, following his impulses, now unrestricted, and expanding his appetites on every level. The women's liberation movement of the 60s allowed both males and females to experience more freedom of choice in all aspects of their lives. The women's lib movement gave black women the right to deregulate the home. The women's lib movement gave the black woman the women's lib movement gave black women the right to deregulate the home, permitted promiscuity with white men, gave them a more aggressive mouth and more freedom of motion. You gonna stay here? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? All right. Man, that's a mouthful. The women's lib movement gave black women the right to deregulate the home, permitted promiscuity with white men, gave them a more aggressive mouth and more freedom of motion. The black man made similar changes in his lifestyle, mostly as a predator. He was free to hunt down every and anything he wanted to satisfy his emotional needs. These needs were undirected, unrestrained, and random. He thought he was free. He could now accept or reject the idea of marrying a woman, frequent any restaurant, nightclub, department store, emergency room, or personnel office he chose. Never had it so good. This so-called period of sexual revolution also allowed him to openly flirt with any homosexual tendencies he had. Oh man. Black women were plentiful. Politicians were rapping and the music was good. He was in and out of love. It at will, and no one could stop him. His love life was definitely one area of his existence that he could have complete control of. The white man, he thought, could not, that was uninterrupted by outside entities. He went in and out of personal relationships with women at any speed he chose. He sired children, sometimes never looked back. He was in a time and place of discovery. As the national options for morality expanded, family and home systems broke down further and further. And by the time the balloon was completely deflated, so was his ego. All the trappings he counted on to support his freedom of choice disappeared. He found himself on a new path, one that was paved in hostility. His time was up, and he had not done what he was supposed to do as a son, a brother, a husband, or a father. As employment and poor education, he felt trapped and confused. In 1977, more black men died of homicidal incidents than during the entire 10 years of the Vietnam War. A new variable emerged. He had begun to kill himself off. None of this was good news to his woman, who often bore the brunt of his societal and community rejection. He had tried many things: drugs, pimping, working in the system, the military, college, religion, and all of them had proven themselves either not to be lasting or unsatisfactory. In his trying to settle down and have a wife and family, he found that he did not know how to do so. He was unsure of what to insist on and what to allow to go on in his home, especially with his children. So he left that up to his wife. But those who worked hard to provide for their families were determined not to give up their children to female headed households and to the welfare department and all of its associated negatives about him as father and man. In the cases when he did marry, he tried to square up to meet the occasion and handled it for as long as he could. Black men have quicker physical reactions and Black women have quicker emotional ones. And by the time they both came through the 60s and 70s, the cards had been completely reshuffled and neither one knew what the new deal was. The game changed. The double standard fallacy. Black men have heard much about the so-called double standard, about him being able to do things, go more places, date women, stay out late, and have premarital sex more than Black women. True, Black mothers have always tried to persuade their daughters from giving up their virginity at a young age, not getting pregnant or staying out late. It has been to no avail because when Black men are out late fooling around doing anything they shouldn't be doing, they are with Black females. So if the one to do then manage to get together anyway. They managed to get together anyway. Perhaps Black males have had more options regarding the results of their behavior. Since they do not get pregnant themselves, they are able to move ahead with their lives relatively unaffected unless irate parents insist on marriage or child support. So obviously, the same number of Black females who obey house rules and don't have premarital sex is equaled out by the Black females who place themselves in spots to do just that. The male mammal has always had more freedom to roam and investigate out of doors than the female. As a boy child, the Black male experiences his first sexual encounter at about the ages of 11 or 12. Can you please pick up my water, please? Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. If he is in a poor urbanized environment, he does so at about the ages of 8 or 9. Damn. So Black daughters are available throughout their entire lives. If there is such a double standard in existence, it's that the African American community likes to delude itself into thinking that the boys have more freedom than the girls, although this is disproven by Black girls caught up in the teen pregnancy mistake. The stats on the predicament are overwhelming from coast to coast in all income levels and family makeups. Black men's attitudes about sex are favorable. Most of them reach a climax 99% of the time they have sex, while Black women reach an orgasm only about 2% of the time, vaginally. Other ways about 50% of the time. When a Black man has sexual intercourse, he knows exactly how it's going to end. And if he is experienced, can almost predict the exact moment. Many of them find themselves in an odd predicament. If he had a good lover, it is because he has a great deal of experience having sex, manipulating women's bodies, trying out different moves, testing certain responses, and trying out different and experimenting with pressure and technique. The only way he can get this training and learning is by doing it, having sex with various women. The experimentation can become addictive. Hmm. Hmm. The experimentation can become addictive. Definitely agree. I definitely agree. some for the confidence it brings, some for the conquest and reassurance of his abilities. Hmm. Hmm. Man. Some for the confidence it brings, and some for the conquest and reassurance of his abilities. It would be rare to find a black man who is expert in bed who only has one woman. Of course, there exist black men who become a little uncomfortable in bed, even if they want to do it, and therefore give little thought of whether or not the female partner is enjoying the act. The black man is sometimes irresistibly drawn to black women who project themselves as being weak, mild-mannered, soft-spoken, shy, or withdrawn. They see these women as needing to be taken care of. They see a chance to protect someone and to not worry about her getting out of hand. By the time he learns her meekness is really passive aggressive behavior, he's usually already in much deeper, sometimes even married, than he desires to be. This puts him in a prowl again. This puts him on the prowl again. Many black men consistently choose the same kind of woman over and over. They are looking for something, usually something that doesn't exist in real human nature, but they look on regardless of this fact. Sometimes they are in a situation where they are so emotionally brutalized that they give up on their manhood and allow themselves to be manipulated, directed, told what to do, give up all their money and obey all orders from the wife, no matter how distasteful to him it is. Sometimes they're in a situation where they are so emotionally brutalized that they give up on their manhood and allow themselves to be manipulated, directed, told what to do, give up all their money, and obey all orders from the wife, no matter how distasteful to him it is. His inability to be honest with his woman or with himself leaves him spent and impotent. This unnatural fear he has of women is derived out of his fear of being rejected, insulted, verbally attacked, or ostracized. In mammals, the animal who is solely responsible for feeding and taking care of the offspring is more viciously threatened. The black man bears the brunt of this situation somewhat with black women. Having to root for food and shelter requires a female to take on survival skills ordinarily left to males of every species. His inability to articulate his grievances with his woman is another reason for his quietness. He has been fooled by the woman's lib cry for equality. He has psychologically bought into ideas that now prevent him from speaking out. He has convinced himself that matters of great essence concerning his manhood are not important, and that it is unfair for him to force his value judgments on his mate. He trembles at the blow up he knows she's going to have if he mentions certain things. Sometimes he is afraid that the woman will leave him and demand huge sums for child support. Will take the house he has been paying for and living in for long years, while will divorce him and get nothing, including his car, or that his mate will just leave him and go find another man to satisfy her. He also is afraid of rumors that women in his circle will classify him as macho or demanding. He feels that as long as he doesn't rock the boat, he can keep on sailing and express his frustration in other ways in other places, sometimes involving another woman and sometimes not. He knows that the black woman has the white man and his institutions on her side, and whenever he backs her up against a wall too far, she can always cry out for help. Hmm. He knows that the black woman has the white man and his institutions on her side. And whenever he backs her up against the wall too far, she can always cry out for help, and that it'll come. Cry out for help, and that it'll come. He is relegated to a place of only slight importance slight importance to her if it comes down to who is going to have their way. If he wants a traditional home and family life, his woman rebels and doesn't let up the pressure until he gives up his old-fashioned ideas and ideals and gets with modern times. That's a big one. That's a big one. If he wants a traditional home and family life, his woman rebels and doesn't let up the pressure until he gives up his old-fashioned ideas and ideals and gets with the modern times. Hold your ground, my brothers, hold your ground. Hold your ground, stand firm. Hold it down. Some black men have opted to stay home, keep house, raise children, cook, and be brother mom because their women are very aggressively opinionated, constantly vies with him to be the boss. And if he's out of work, she convinces him it's the least he can do to help. More and more magazines and publications are portraying the black man home in the kitchen, cooking, and his wife out working, carrying her briefcase. Many black men don't work for one reason or the other and do not keep house either. Many also just give up the running of the house to the woman because he sees her as the better man than he is. So let her handle it. Some of them are so accustomed to having to sit or lay and listen to their woman complain or fuss that they are excessively loud when outside, or fuss that they are excessively loud when outside the home to make up for the indoor restrictions on the sound of their voices. Black men who go along with these kinds of behaviors are considered henpecked. Black women do not like these kinds of men, even if they are married to one. They brag that they keep him in line, at the back of the line. These black men get home at breakneck speed after work so their woman won't be suspicious of their whereabouts. They turn over their complete check to their women or their woman so she'll know what happens to every penny of his money. They learn how to skim off a few dollars here and there, penny pinching. They learn how to skim off a few dollars here and there so they can have a night out or afford a drink. They are totally restricted at home from expressing their manhood in any way, shape, or form. Sometimes they roam the clubs, bars, or streets, and even though married, behave as if they are love starved and sexually deprived. The beg women, and jump at the slightest chance. I guess it's supposed to be they. They beg women and jump at the slightest chance they think they might have to get a strange woman in bed. Most of the time, when a black woman contracts a venereal disease, it is from a man whom she considers her steady sex partner, a man who she thinks is not sleeping with anyone else. The biggest disappointment a black woman has when a black man gives her a venereal disease is that she expects him to at least be careful about the woman or the women he is dealing with. Venereal diseases are still wrongly considered a result of filth or generated only in dirty people. While this may be true in some cases, doctors claim that the bacteria causing sexual infections routinely originate just from the normal mixing of body fluids between two people with different diets, hormone levels, straining during coitus, and not urinating. after sexual intercourse. What's coitus? What is coitus? C-O-I-T-U-S. Coitus. Coitus. Let's see what it is. Coitus. 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 C-O-I-T-U-S. Coitus. Let's see. Coitus. C-O-I. C-O-I. C-O-I-T-U-S. Coitus. Coitus. Coition. Coition, which is right above coitus. Sexual intercourse. Straining during sexual intercourse or straining during coitus and not urinating after sexual intercourse. He is very much embarrassed about contacting or contracting a venereal disease. Whoever partner gets it first thinks that the other partner knew they had it and didn't tell them. To keep quiet about their infections, black men developed underground means to obtain penicillin, tetracycline, penicillin, tetracycline, and other prescription drugs so that they do not have to go to a physician and have a record made of it. Few black men go home and tell their wives or their women right away that they have an STD infection. Admitting this kind of guilt is out of the question. Whenever they do advise their regular mates, hell for days is surely to follow. It is a very embarrassing ordeal for all concerned. Black men do not like women to criticize their principles if he has any on a particular topic, or personally attack him. He does not like accusations or being presented with proof of what inadequacy about something, and he does not like being called a liar, whether he did or didn't. Some black men never admit telling a lie or misleading a woman, even if he is directly caught in one. He rarely admits to it. By not admitting that he lied about something, it keeps him from having to explain why he did. But not admitting the lie, he keeps his woman from inflicting punishment on him for doing so. It keeps the issue at a standoff. He figures if he never admits it, he can keep the upper hand. Black men report that at some time in their relationship, they did admit to a lie, and their women never forgot it. They say living with a woman who heard you say you told a lie is the worst hell of all. By not admitting an obvious lie, he takes on an aura of rascalability. Rascalability. Yeah, let him sleep. Let him sleep. And soon the lie is either forgotten, turned into a joke, or never done again. Black women still consider sexual intercourse as their trump card. And after it's played, they have no other cards in the deck to use to win his commitment or secure his respect. This is not necessarily true to black men. They separate the act of sex from the mental commitment and expression of non-physical love, since they know that having sex will not be the major determinant as to whether the relationship survives. They do not put as much emphasis of importance on it as the black woman or black women. It's possible that sex is just another level of kissing for them. And unless they are emotionally involved with the woman, it does not have near the value to them as it does to their main woman. They hide it and lie about it or sneak around only because of the value their woman puts on it. No black woman is going to ever know how many times her black man has had sex with another woman. They are adept at working it in the oddest times or most remote opportunities. This further convinces them that if their woman doesn't know, it doesn't hurt her. It is a separate life he lives that he considers has nothing to do with his regular day-to-day life as a committed man to one woman. He often does it just for the conquest. Certainly, if there are problems at home and he is on punishment or experiencing sexual rejection, he is more apt to seek out another female outlet for his desires. If any woman is living with a man and thinks that by denying him sex, she is getting back at him, she is sorely mistaken because 9.5 times out of 10, he is getting his sex somewhere else. He does not let anyone or anything get in the way of his sex life. He definitely enjoys it if his main woman switches up a bit in the bedroom, sets a new scenario, changes the routine and wears something special. But any black woman who thinks that doing all these extra goodies is going to prevent a black man from being with another woman, she is mistaken again. Black women make too many unstated assumptions in her relationship with her man. And then, when she finds out something to the contrary, she is emotionally crushed. One major misunderstanding the black man has about black women that causes him many problems is his relationship with them is that the black woman believes anything the black man says if it is of a love or romantic nature. I don't believe that. Maybe in the 80s when this came out, but not now. I don't believe that at all. Love is one category where the black woman not only believes in a black man, but expects him to follow through on his promises or dedication. I don't believe it. Black men discount this belief. There we go. Black men discount this belief. They say things they don't mean, make promises they have no intention of keeping, and making agreements they can't fulfill. So when a black man says, I'll call you tomorrow, or I'll see you later, or I'll be right back, or I love you, or I'd like to take you out sometime, or I'll buy you that, or I'll pick you up at 7 Friday night. Whatever he says, and obviously some of the promises are more intense than the samples, the black woman not only expects, but looks forward to him doing what he says. And she expects him to keep his word regarding sustaining their personal relationship. With him, it's another matter. Some of the words he uses are just passing salutations or goodbyes. He eases out as gracefully as possible if the encounter was temporary or of no real value to him. He sees this as being merciful. Plus, once outside and away from the woman, he resumes his normal activities and does not have a photographic memory, nor does he keep his word very well. He is easily distracted, and if something he deems more important comes up, he quickly forgets whatever he has told someone else. He is not intentionally trying to disappoint them. When and if he breaks up with a woman, he says it's because of communications breakdown, infidelity, constant fighting, emotional abuse, falling out of love, boring sex, no money, physical abuse, or just a desire for another life. He goes far before he gives up. He goes far before he gives up on a relationship. The black man is distrustful of women. The black man is distrustful of women. The more experience he has with women, the more distrustful he is. Man, let me mark that one too. The more experienced he is, the more experience he has with women, the more distrustful he is. He is constantly on guard to discover any infidelities she may be participating in, any inconsistencies, or any unusual behavior on her part. He wants to make sure that he is aware of any change in her attitude or love for him. His jealousy is best attributed to his masculine insecurity. Some Black men are overly jealous. Jealousy and rivalry are learned traits. Anyone or anything perceived as a threat to his standing with his woman is seen as a danger to his well-being, and his woman is seen as a danger to anyone or anything perceived as a threat to his standing with his woman is seen as a danger to his well-being, and one he sometimes can't handle. He can become outraged to the point of physical violence if he thinks or knows his woman is unfaithful to him in word or deed. Some are so insecure that they keep track of their women like wardens and insist she live the life of a prisoner. He learns mistrust based on abuse, neglect, and deprivation of love. Psychologists say this goes all the way back to pressure possibly applied by parents to get him to give up something or share. Sometimes this disorder manifests in a child and his introduction to the world is hostile if his introduction to the world is hostile or frustrating. If a Black man falls in love with a girl at a very young age and she disappoints him, he may use that immature incident to measure every relationship he has in his adult life. They remember all emotional pain connected to love. They are most vulnerable when they are in love. They are the most vulnerable when they are in love. Black men love just as hard as women and hurt twice as badly because they connect rejection to their manhood. Rejection by a woman makes them feel powerless and represents a lead him to terrorize or harass a woman who has rebuffed him. It may even lead him to go insane and kill the woman or her new man, or both of them. Black men are often more deeply emotionally dependent upon a woman and the relationship than they let on. They have never been taught how to channel their frustrations or solve out problems with their calculate if she is serious when she says or does something. Part of their frustration is that the black woman is emotionally undependable. So he has a difficult time understanding her or trying to calculate if she is serious when she says or does something. Her being constantly inconsistent makes him wary and suspicious of her real motives because every time he starts to believe she is one way, she turns out to be another. They are more dependable and steady in their behaviors, even if wrong. It can be assumed that he is being for real and not putting on an act. It is said that women mature much faster than men. This difference in level and speed of development accounts for many of the disagreements in his personal affairs. Plus, Black women tend to read more and will adjust their attitudes or beliefs according to the latest feminist trends or an idea she got from a movie or TV. It's start making plans, get too possessive, and entrap them by pregnancy. He is not always trying to form an inmate relationship when he turns to a woman for conversation, advice, or physical comfort. Black men naturally turn to Black women for understanding. So do other Black women. Women talk about personal issues, advice, and advise and comfort each other easily. Black men, because they have been trained to not show certain kinds of emotional vulnerability, tend to only speak, don't know how to handle. This, they think, means that they are weak in some way. Unless he consults another Black man 10 to 20 years older than him, he is apt to get the wrong advice anyway. Youth and experience do not coexist. This is why a man comes into his real understanding of women at age 45 and above. He is most attractive over 45. He is more steady, sure of himself, and more importantly, sure of Black women. At his peak, he is most attractive to Black women of any age. First of all, he has made it to the age 40, and that in itself is an accomplishment. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing with your nose? No. Black men do not cry very often. Humans are the only species to cry tears based on emotions. If a Black man does cry, it's because of anger. Some of them cry when they get really mad. They are also known to cry under frustration or stress, failure, death, or under pressure to get sympathy. They do not cry at movies or about TV shows when they are successful or just feeling good. These kinds of emotional tears are almost strictly pages are stuck together. There we go. These kinds of emotional tears are almost strictly feminine. At least they think so. The Black man who says he wants an independent woman is lying. If he says this, what he means is that he wants a woman who is financially independent so that she does not count on him for money. Black men are not making a lot of money these days. So if he has money, this relieves him of a lot of pressure. That's the thought. That is thought. Some have. That is a thought. It relieves him of a lot of pressure. If he is disappointed in himself, if he is disappointed in himself or depressed about his prospect for the future, the woman's independence is felt as threatened. He lives in a society where money is the measure and means to advance in society. So if he doesn't have any money or enough money, he knows that his value diminishes in the sight of a Black woman. This independent thing has gone much too far. There is no relationship that is not codependent along with mutual obligation. Independence is seen by some to mean the right to be selfish and work only on self-interest. This does not work. Part of the gratification of the personal relationship is the opportunity to share on all levels. It takes a very special and secure Black man to maintain a relationship with a woman who out-earns him, not because of the amount necessarily, but because of society's interpretation of what it means and the privileges that come along with it, such as power. Fatherhood. The Black man is not as excited as he should be about fatherhood. It has never been described or projected to him as a wonderful spot to be in. The major reason for this is that it is usually a surprise to him. Even if he has been counting on the good fairy to take care of birth control for him, when his woman becomes pregnant, he is surprised. All sorts of images fly up in front of his face, and none of them are happy, and all of them are expensive. He sees fatherhood as a big responsibility. Certainly, many Black men dream of having a son and experience a twinge of temporary disappointment when they sire a daughter. This quickly fades, and other than their apprehension and wondering about how they will protect her, they love their sons and daughters equally. If circumstances permit, they will spend time with the child and are proud of what they made. When circumstances do not permit them to raise their children because of falling out with the mother moving away, or if the child is the only thing he and the woman have in common, he has a more difficult time relating to fatherhood. Many of them did not have fathers when they grew up, so it's not entirely clear to them what the role of a father is. They love babies if ample opportunity is provided for them to get to know it and quickly learn to feed, change, bathe, and dress a baby. Other times, he must move on because of a failed relationship between he and the mother. He hates paying outrageous sums of child support and will often express his dissatisfaction when the mother by withholding the money. If they are apart, this is his only means of causing her irritation or getting her attention. He does not equate it with denying the child, even though it does in many cases. If he does not bond with the child at an early age, it is easier for him to walk away from it and never look back. Black men have sons and daughters scattered all over the country. Yeah, I do. Some of them they have not seen since birth. Some of their whereabouts are not even known. It is not that he is cold or unfeeling, but that he has been conditioned to believe that the baby belongs totally to the mother, and he doesn't know how to maintain a relationship with at some time. Yeah, yeah, he's all right. Hmm. All right, here we go. It is not that he is cold or unfeeling, but that he has been conditioned to believe that the baby belongs totally to the mother. And he doesn't know how to maintain a relationship with the child whom he does not live with. Some of them are learning how to do this now, but it generally is with those whom they did not live with at some time. Since the baby does not grow and come out of their bodies, they have to bond with them by touching and holding it and spending enough time with the child to know it and make the child aware of their existence. There is no greater joy than for him to be recognized and loved by a child, especially if it's his child. Modern, they don't have any more here. There you go. That's a waste on my book now. All right. Just put the top on it so it doesn't waste. Just put the top on it just in case. Okay. Now you should be able to open it now if you need it. Modern black men, modern black men do not like children. Is that they do not know what to teach a child, and they are frightened at the prospect of having the responsibility of the daily training of another human being. They can look at other older children and realize how difficult the job is. He does not want to fail, and having no role model, he's unsure of his capabilities. Fathering is a very important job. Psychologists report that children with fathers are seen as outgoing, adaptable, accept challenge, do better in school, get along with peers, have better self-esteem, and less problems with drugs or alcohol. Contemporary and very secure Black men are now taking to adopting Black boys in an effort to save Black children and redeem themselves from rumors of failed parents. Although Blacks make up less than 12% of the American population, more than half the available children for adoption are Black. There are currently for 40% of these will be Black or Hispanic. Adoption agencies report that 95% of the Black families who apply for adoption through standard system are turned down. The main reasons they are turned down by the federal or state agencies is one, their mutual refusal or inability to pay the fees, often between $9,000 to $25,000 cash for medical expenses, foster care, and administrative costs. Or two, they do not have a Christian home. Ain't that a bitch? You can't adopt the baby if you don't have a Christian home. I guess that goes back into the what we read in the other chapter with religion, and how they want everybody on the Christian setup. Having a Christian home is of paramount importance to governmental agencies to ensure that the Black baby will be to adoptions are becoming popular because the government says there are too few Black qualified adults to absorb the high numbers of Black babies and children waiting to be adopted. Which is kind of saying it's just because they ain't Christian. And they don't want the chance of them teaching anything about self. Man. Their false premise is that it's better for a Black child to grow up in a white home than to rot in foster care. Both are horrible choices for the survival of the Black nation. Black men politicians have not addressed this crisis of abandoned Black babies. As usual, they do not address the issues most pressing to the survival of the African Americans. Man, we still got a bunch of pages left to go, man. Oh man, we ain't even really hit the One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pages left. Yeah, man, we're gonna have to do a part 2. Because it's taking me damn near an hour just to read the first 7. So we'll try to read like 2 more pages. 2 more pages, or at least down to the next section. We'll keep reading to the next section, and then the next section is, well, we got a section coming up. The next 2 sections after, we'll read up to the other woman, and then we'll start from there. We'll start from there in part 2. Man, it's a lot in this one. All right, we'll come back. The Black man's sex organ. The Black man's legendary mythological penis is discussed in many secret conversations. He has lived a life whereby the public refers to his penis and its great size and power over women. This kind of gossip has transcended history and followed him from slavery. The stereotypical gossip is about his unrestrained sexual desire based on his animal-sized organ. The simplest way to explain the black man's feeling of their superiority or inferiority about the size of his penis is to equate it to a female's attitude and concern over the size of her breasts. Each tries to make the best of what they have, no matter what size, hence developed. It's not the size that counts, it's what you do with it. Obviously, like breasts, also fleshly appendages, they come in all lengths, widths, and shapes. The white man's liberation movement has forced him to address some of the issues discussed because black women keep up with social changes and behavior of whites and customarily bring these same topics or issues to the attention of the black man. While the black man is more than happy to get out from under the pressures of being considered the major breadwinner, they are repulsed by suggestions that they must incorporate that more femininity into their emotions. He's really not interested in learning to act more like a woman in order to date or marry one in peace. His frigid boasting. He's really not interested in learning to act more like a woman in order to date or marry one in peace. His frigid boasting gives the impression of a man on the verge of bursting with pride about his existence, about his own existence, sorry. Outwardly, he tries to present himself as the exact prototype of a confident, take charge, masculine bombshell. The inward man, however, bears little resemblance to the overweening vanity he projects on the outside. He has learned through painful lessons with women that intense desire and insatiable sexual passion can drive a man insane. He does not know his own mind, what he wants in a trying to impress them with their fortitude by flashing big bucks, slick dressing, irrational bragging, laid back confidence, and willingness to negotiate to pave a way to the bedroom. And in all of these matters, he is slow, halting, wobbly, unsure of himself, and pathetically aware of his own weaknesses, which he tries harder and harder to conceal. His relationships with women camouflage his cries of despair, utter misery, and often continued loneliness. Even when he has a woman, because he can never really be honest by introducing his real personality. Being with several women or trying to go with several at a time represents another one of his vain, mysterious ways to seek out the purpose of his real life. He is so helplessly attracted to beautiful women. When the black man admires a woman on the streets, he will whistle, yelp, or hoot out a yell. This may be, "Hey, baby," or "Hey, mama, you sure look good." "Oh, hey, Miss Lady." Or like they say in New Orleans, they say love. Say love. "Hey, baby." Or "Hey, mama, you sure look good." Or "Hey, Miss Lady," or "You sure is fine," or "God," or "Shit." Shit. Or some other catchy type phrase to get the black woman's attention. If she smiles kindly and keeps walking, he will usually just go on back to whatever he is doing. If she makes a mean face or ignores him, he might have a negative reaction for being rejected when he thought he was paying the woman a compliment. When this happens, he might yell out a curse word or tell her, "Oh, you can't speak?" Or "You ain't fine anyway." Or "Well, go ahead on, bitch," or "Fuck you then." She ain't put it, but I'm gonna say it. Or "Fuck you then." Or some other hostile remark to either embarrass the woman, put her down, or show off in front of her friends. Sometimes a black man, sometimes a black man who is raggedy,
and who is
raggedy, D, there you go, raggedy, who is raggedy, nasty looking, or using crude language,
using
crude language,
using
crude, that's better. Using crude language to approach a woman will be ignored. Will be ignored. Ignored. Egg, almost like egg, but ignored. There you go. It's always amazing to black women that some of the most vile-looking men will attempt to hit on her or get the attention of a very attractive, sophisticated-looking lady. Black women think that he must know that he doesn't have a snowball chance in hell of getting of getting an upgrade woman's attention. All right. For anything. All right. Okay, now let me read. Good job. But this tells something about the ever-present ego of black men. They don't care how they're dressed, how they're dressed, how they talk, or what they look like. They expect a pretty woman to respond to them. Some get so frustrated that they follow the woman down the street, still yelling. There you go. Unsavory remarks at her to try to embarrass her for having the nerve to ignore him.
Yes, sir.
All right. The black man, even those with honorable intentions, who whistle at women, don't know that whistling is a habit derived from savage male who make burly noises to attract the female animal. They use vocal signals to express their interest in a female. Baboons use lip-smacking sounds to attract their mates, just like black men who smack their lips or make hissing sounds to flirt with a decent facial motion in any society. Oh, but man, that's the thing for today, man. Hey, I see a lot of pictures with women sticking out their tongues. Mm-hmm. My boy. All right. Some of them stick out their tongues as a way to insinuate an idea of what's on their mind. Sticking out the tongue is never a decent facial motion in any society. It is done to resemble an erect penis. Sticking out the tongue is done to resemble an erect penis. It is also used by some animals to their opponents to signify hostility or aggression. So all that sticking out the tongue or running the tongue around the lips is not a good way to attract someone. Most Black women think that this means that a man is hinting that he wants to have oral sex with her, and this is the way he offers it. Saying hello or goodbye has taken on a new language.